Stalker 2 currently runs at 25 FPS on Series S. Creative decision or PS5 money hatting? Tweeted Sony Prophet as a tongue-in-cheek way to pretty much show that this game is still coming up in its optimization. Now, I wish that their intention was to actually show it that way, but a lot of these people want a console war. But here's my goal. My goal is to bring sense to this conversation because I've realized that a lot of folk out here talking on the internet have lost their dadgum minds. We've been talking about the Series S, and as much as I'll be the person that will tell you not to touch a console, I found out that if somebody does not say something about the lies and the what I call willful ignorance around the hardware surrounding these new consoles, we're going to be lost as a community. Sure, the consoles are underpowered. Look through my record. I showed you the box and told you that they overhyped the darn thing. However, why people continue to make it seem like the Xbox Series S is the worst thing in the world is quite baffling to me. And I think this is basically them just not understanding or pretending not to know what is going on. The Series S is going to run many games at 30 FPS. This is the reality. You paid $299 for hardware, it's going to give you $299 performance. The last time I paid $200 and something for a hardware, I played 30 FPS games every time on it. It was my PlayStation 4, and it was one of the best $280 something I'd ever spent. It was so good that I could tell you that one of the best consoles that you have had basically run through our console lineups is the PlayStation 4. Some OGs might say it's a PS1 and PS2. Shout out to y'all, but I didn't have it. I played in my friends' homes. I played in like arcades, but didn't have a console. But man, that $200, it really went a long way. So if you're worried about somebody that's running a $299, device playing at 30 FPS, then you're probably worried about the wrong thing. If FPS matters to you, come over to our side. Come to PC. Get yourself one of these builds. I'll hook you up with the components that you use, and you'll be able to sit on delicious FPS from now henceforth. But here's the twist of the whole story. The developer came out and said, hey, something glitched in my brain. Actually, our aim is to launch Stalker 2 at least 30 FPS on the Series S. This is what they said. Just to clarify my thoughts, I said something during an interview on Gamescom. Yes, that's what I said. However, it seemed something glitched in my head during the interview as I wanted to say around 35 FPS. And so the developer has come out to make it known that, hey, this game is already running way past 30 FPS. And to me, if I look at Stalker as a single player game, doesn't necessarily mean that, the game cannot run at 60 on the Series S. However, there are going to be all kinds of different, I would say compromises that need to be made. The developer also said that, in this particular instance, there's no drama. It's just that they're optimizing and working towards getting the game out. Here it is. They said, we aim to launch with the Series S at 30 FPS in every part of the zone. Even previously, they said in practice, the optimization on Series S is well undergoing. Some parts of the game may be slightly below target, hence the head glitch. But on average, Stalker 2 runs at 34 to 36 FPS. So they can cap it here, but they're trying to ensure that you have a good average performance overall. I've seen some people not pay attention to when this was the same issue with Starfield. Remember when y'all were saying Todd was this, that. I don't know how you guys have what relationship the gaming community has with Todd. I don't play a lot of Bethesda games. But when he said that, I was like, yeah, you'll see something like that happen a lot. And then the developers just keep working and they can optimize their game to achieve whatever performance that they have time and the scale to be able to get to. And the developer, the spokesperson basically said this. They said, we aim to launch on a Series S at least 30 FPS in a part of the zone. There's no drama about it, just some work to be finished. It basically sounded to me like what the developers at Game Science said. This is why I didn't take the rumors about exclusivity and all of this stuff because, again, I'm looking at it from the development perspective. Now, here's the thing. A lot of gamers like to chime in on this stuff. But whenever I suggest something like a 20-30 minute video on optimization and Unreal Engine 4, none of these folk will ever take the time to watch it. Why? Because for the most part, ignorance is actually easier and cheaper. It's easy for you to take a blockheaded mentality to actually go into a conversation so that, you can basically recuse yourself of knowledge. I'm saying this in tongue in cheek and probably, taking a shot at people who like to do this. But This is intended to basically wake us up to the fact that, sometimes as gamers, it's not that, we don't know what game development is about. It's because for the most part, we choose not to know. I've seen people say, well, I'm not a game developer. What's my business about learning about optimization? And I say, that's a very good question. The same question could be asked about what is your business in talking about optimization, especially on other platforms. Now, let me go ahead and try again. There's a video here. It's a 41-minute video. It's called Maximizing Your Game's Performance in Unreal Engine. This was actually a talk given by what I think is probably one of Unreal Engine's, most prolific, presenters and even programmers in their pipeline. The gentleman is a beast. He shows you how you actually do your profiling, which is what optimization is called in Unreal Engine, and some of the things you need to look out for. A lot of developers find it hard to actually come in and, basically prioritize this stuff. And he gives some really good, strong tips on exactly what developers can do. Because the development approach of actually making your game fully and then coming back to, basically optimize is one that a lot of the Unreal Engine, teachers and people who are in their pipeline have been trying to tell devs to not do. If you watch more and more of these things, you will realize that a lot of developers are prioritizing their game first and then coming down to optimization later without actually thinking, if we make a game that does all these, how are we going to squeeze it into the boxes or the devices that we want it to run? So here's a good way to spend 40 minutes. Instead of shouting on the Video Game Fight School channel, click the link in the description. I'm going to put it in there for y'all. Watch the video. It is not rocket science. I promise you, you'll understand what he's saying. And you'll be able to see exactly what this process looks like. Because as the game continues to evolve and undergo, changes, minuscule changes here and there, the game will start to see improvement in performance. He even demonstrates it in real time, showing you how the game can actually do it. I remember even Gotham Knights having a single player mode and having the folk at Digital Foundry open up a Series X kit, connect the 7900 XTX to it, and found out that some places you could achieve about 54 FPS. Yes, the problem with a game like Gotham Knights is that co-op, the untethered open world, that would still eat a lot of, a lot of performance. The developers, the folk at Digital Foundry did not test out co-op with that setup because they only had one machine. I wish they had basically tried, say, somebody on the other side using a PC and then them using the Series X kit and then seeing how the performance will work in a co-op setting to know if the developers actually were, basically telling us exactly why that was a challenge to actually move their game, past 30 FPS. But even they concluded that it made sense to see the way the game was fluctuating everywhere and then thinking about even the co-op that they locked it at 30 FPS. So the developers here, but they are telling you like, hey, there's no drama here. We're just profiling the game and getting it to run at the performance that we wanted to, that we can basically get it to you. So 30 FPS is where they're most likely targeting for the Series S. If you want to play more than 30 FPS, then you might want to go up and get yourself a Series X. Or if you want to play it on PlayStation 5, you're already at the place where it's close to the Series X, and that's fine. And more than anything else, at some point, you should know that if FPS is such a big deal, you should be a PC player. Why would you want to bother with, 60 FPS or better performance when you're actually paying, for a subsidized gaming machine that has no routes to be able to actually upgrade or update without spending hundreds more dollars? And I think the big console manufacturers want you to continue to just hope for this, and then they keep making you underpowered hardware so that you can upgrade to the next most powerful hardware in the whole wide world. So it's kind of interesting at the end of the day. And, it's just what it is. You really need a machine that can keep up with the times. And as more and more developers start to get more competitive, want to add more textures, more lighting, more, shiny to their games, it needs juice. And juice is computing juice. So AMD, is giving you the cons. They're selling the consoles to PlayStation and Xbox, but there's no path forward. But at the same time, the same AMD, whose devices are inside your PS5, Series S, and X, they're making GPUs and CPUs. They have some of the best priced GPUs and CPUs in the entire market. You can simply go there and you can basically pick and choose. It's so much fun. I don't know why nobody wants to do it, and everyone's actually here shouting at the Series S. Series S is fine for the $299 price point. Actually rocks, especially from a price comparison perspective, especially for those of us who actually build PCs. It's actually one where I've seen some PC gamers and PC builders online actually talk about its value proposition for what it can do and what you can achieve with it. The $500 point when you start going to the PS5 and the Xbox Series X category is not worth it at all from any measure, in my opinion anyways. But that's just me. I'm sure we've already heard that the developers are doing their job. Those of you who've heard from Game Science, they're doing their job. It's not the Series S, it's the devs. They're saying it's us. We're getting the job done. So that's basically how we're going to take it. So people need to calm down. Thanks for watching the video. Appreciate you guys so much. Peace out.